And now, please welcome Chief Information Officer for United Airlines, Jason Birnbaum, in discussion with Skift Editor-in-Chief, Sarah Kopit.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for coming.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Yeah, Jason just flew in, as one would, being
on
from
United.
On United, yeah.
Just make sure that we're very clear about that.
Yeah,
it was on United.
So summer is upon us. It's nice and hot outside. I think many of us are going on a plane somewhere this summer. Anybody here lucky enough to book their vacations yet? Yeah. All right, a few. Very good.
We still have seats available.
Yeah.
If people need some ideas, let me know after the show.
So hopefully
event.
We're going to get to our places on time. Our bags are going to come with us. And if we have any trouble, hopefully we get to talk to a human or maybe not.
A near human.
A near human, right. So I want to talk about that later. But I'm curious, I have kicked around a lot of technology companies for the last 25 years. And I've definitely had those experiences where you sit in a room, you're looking at the boss, you're making your pitch for your new technology, and you get like these blank stares looking back at you. So with AI, I mean, we're not very far into this. How do you get Scott Kirby to say yes? How do you do that? How did you get that to happen?
Well, first of all, if anyone's heard from Scott or seen Scott, he's amazingly positive and bullish. There is no problem convincing Scott to try new technologies. In fact, with generative AI, I think the day after the announcement of Microsoft AI, he was calling me, going, Jason, we got to get on this. This is a game changer. We got to figure out how to use this. And so I've never had a problem with him being supportive of what we're doing. And in fact, he's actually a huge motivator, both because he truly cares about the customer and sees AI, especially generative AI, as a way to provide excellent service, and so he's been really, really behind all of this.
Yeah. So let's talk about these programs. There's a lot of talk in the airlines industry, especially about rescheduling flights, and so there's big catastrophe, big snowstorm, weather event. The electrical grid goes down. Pick your problem.
That's a regular Tuesday in our world, right?
Exactly right. No. So how's AI been helping you at United, solve some of these problems?
Yeah. Look, I mean, first of all, we've been using data and analytics for quite some time to really think about how to make to make the experience. And look, the airline industry is challenged, right? We all know that there are storms, there are disruptions. You can't avoid it, and frankly, climate is changing, and it's actually exacerbating things. So we are constantly using data and analytics to figure out ways to optimize what is generally a tough situation, right? The typical situation, right, is that, and Newark is a good example, or the New York airspace is a good example of that. The air traffic control will call and say, hey, you thought you were landing 60 planes an hour. Guess what? You're only going to land 20. You tell us which 20 you want to land in the next hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. And in the old, that was hard to do, right? So you end up in a world where humans are making sort of suboptimal decisions. And now we're able to use, and we're continuing to refine this, use analytics, use data, use AI to come up with better answers, because there's so many factors you got to think about. You got to think about the customers and where they're going, the planes and where they're going to be, what crew and where the crew is going to be going. And sometimes not only the crew that's working, but there are crew on the plane they're deadheading. And so this math problem is really complicated to do in real time. And so we've been using it for a long time and getting better at trying to make sure that we make the right choice in a tough situation.
Do you have data about how much it's improved since you kind of took the humans a little bit out of it? Like, how much better does AI do at this?
It's hard to measure that. I mean, what I would say is we are consistently, I'll say this, we've had some of the toughest weather this summer. It's coming earlier than it ever has. I think this was our second best May in the history of the airline, in a world where Houston, if anyone knows what's going on, Houston had massive storms. So I would say in aggregate, we're seeing improvement across the board in terms of being reliable and not canceling the flights and getting our customers where they need to be.
So those customers, when they're sitting on the plane, maybe they've got a connecting flight. I've also heard that United's using AI to kind of determine when they will hold the plane. So I want you to tell me how they do that and how I can make sure that my flight is the one that is held?
Well, I'll give you my phone number, and we can work that
There you
part
go.
out.
There
We
you
can
go.
work that part
Yeah.
out. But I would say, look, this all started. We have a product, and we call it Connection Saver. And the insight we started with was that customers were saying, I'm walking up to the plane, I'm rushing, I'm connecting, and the door gets shut. And they sit there and they're like, well, can you open the door? And the gauge is like, well, we can't open the door. But then the plane sits there. It sits there for 5 or 10 minutes, and it's a very terrible customer experience. And so that was the start of what we now call it Connection Saver, which is a lot of algorithms and some AI that basically looks at all the passengers that are coming in. It then calculates, based on when we think they're going to arrive, how long it's going to take to walk to their gate. Then we figure out how much time do we have for that, how much slack is in the schedule of the plane that's departing, along with who's connecting on the plane. Like the last thing we want to do is have a customer go hold the plane for one person and make 5 people miss their flight. So we've built this algorithm called Connection Saver, and so that it's been very successful. 2 things we've added to it that are really exciting. One, we started communicating to the customers. We had a lot of debate, like should you tell people that you're holding the plane? Like would that make it worse or better? And so we let people know that we're trying to get you to the plane, so they don't stop at Starbucks or they don't, they move along. But the other one that's been really interesting is we actually let the passengers know on the plane that why we're holding. And I don't know if anyone's experienced this, but it's an amazing sort of moment of sort of humans coming together, because everyone who gets the text usually knows what this is about. And when the customers finally get on and they're sort of disheveled and discombobulated and breathing hard, and then the whole plane cheers, everyone claps, and it's a really
I would
great
probably
moment.
burst out into tears
Right.
because
They're like, you made it, and so it's a really great moment. So that's been one way we've been trying to use analytics to make sure that we make sure people get to where they want to get to.
So customer service, like I had talked about how, I really want to make sure if I'm having a problem, I get to talk to a human being. But customers, I don't know about that maybe. Maybe the computer is better, the ghost in the machine is better. But I'm curious if you are aware of the Air Canada case about the chatbot that got it wrong, and Air Canada, I had read, didn't kind of own up to its error, and this customer took them to small claims court and sued for $800, and they won. And so, I'm curious how United is making sure its chatbot doesn't hallucinate or give the wrong information.
Look, we do work very hard at that, but the reality is, in a very complicated industry like aviation and transportation in general, people get the wrong information. It's going to happen. Humans do it all the time, and the technology is going to do it. And so first of all, we're doing a couple things to safeguard it, right? We've created a responsible AI council that includes technologists, security folks, legal people, customer service, and we make sure that the things that we are launching pass a level of accuracy and standard that we all feel very comfortable with. Perfection is not going to happen, right? The reality in humans and in the technology. Yeah. I also think, and I don't want to comment on this particular situation, but our mantra has always been at United, hey, look, if we do what's right for the customer, and if we make a mistake, we'll own up to it and we'll fix it. And so I think that goes a long way in making sure that these kind of things don't sort of turn into newsworthy events.
Yeah. Going back to the airplane for a minute, I had also read that there was a request by some of your pilots maybe to use AI to help them with some of the customer announcements that you get on the plane. Now, I was thinking when I read that, I really love, I don't know about you guys, but I love hearing from the pilot. I sit there and, silently judge. I'm like, I like to hear, I like to make sure that I think they can fly the plane. This, of course, is ridiculous, but, I do it anyway. I don't think I would want to hear it from AI, from my pilot. Is that really happening?
I don't know. And let me clarify that one, because I think what we found, first of all, I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I love having the pilot come out. I don't think there's nothing more reassuring than having the door open, the pilot come out, get on the microphone, talk about where we're going, talk about what's happening. You know, all our pilots are amazing. They're amazing individuals. They have amazing careers, and they can tell. And a lot of them are excellent at communicating. They may tell a joke or a story. And we want to, and we know our data says when that happens, our net promoter score goes through the roof. People love it. It could be bad. Plane could be delayed. Doesn't matter. Pilot comes out and talks to you. You're going to have a great flight. And what we're trying to capture in the idea in this, and it's still an idea, and we were just sort of talking about ideas that we had for generative AI, was some pilots are great at it, but some pilots aren't. And some pilots are great amazing pilots, but like all of us, like some of them are introverted, and some of them don't necessarily feel comfortable standing out in front of a group of 200 people and talking and telling a story and being personal. And so the question was like, could I get some help? Could you give me a couple pointers? Could you help me? Just give me a couple options on, hey, here's a little something about San Francisco because we're going to San Francisco. And so the idea is, how do we help take and this is like the analogy for everything we're doing with AI, how do we take the AI and help all of our people sort of elevate to the next level? And so how do we bottle up what those pilots that do that do and help everyone sort of get up to that level?
Yeah. So we've talked about a lot of different jobs in the airline space at United. Pilots, customer service. You know, AI is touching everybody. I'm curious what you think is going to happen to jobs, especially as AI gets better. Do you think how many jobs do you think AI will take from United?
Oh, I think AI is going to transform a lot of things. I think, transportation is a people-based business, and I think this may change some of the work that we do and how we do it. It certainly is going to make people more efficient at what they do, but I think, you know, for certainly as far as I can see, I think we're going to see a world where there's going to still be a need for a lot of individuals and a lot of people and a lot of human judgment to make sure that we do this both safely, with great customer service and highly efficient. But I do think this offers us a whole new set of tools and capabilities that are going to allow us to provide even better service, be more reliable, and continue to just be a great airline.
So let's put aside for a moment what AI is doing today. And I'm curious to hear from you, looking out into the future, what would you love for AI to be able to do for you?
Help my kids with their homework. Which goes,
Right.
they do that already, I guess, technically, right? They're already doing that. You know, look, I think there's so many things. You know, I'll tell you what I'm most excited about, and I was thinking about this. And I you know, love cars, and I'm fascinating watching the self-driving vehicles. I mean, I think that if we can get that right, and I know there's a lot of debate and probably a lot of passion on both sides. I have a brother-in-law that, you know, only uses the self-driving, and my mother-in-law is beside herself because she never knows where they're going to end up. But I would say, I think if we can figure that one out, that's a game changer for the world. But other than that, I just am excited to see where it's going to go. I think there's just so many untapped areas. I don't think we've got the killer AI app yet.
Yeah.
But I think once we figure it out, I think it's going to be amazing.
I'm going to take a couple of questions from the audience now. Thank you, and send them on in if you've got some more. From the audience, when will AI get beyond answering your basic questions, but actually do complicated things like reprice multi-leg tickets and avoid hold times, that type of thing? Yeah,
we're certainly working on that right now. It's been a focus even since AI has been around. You know, we've been using chatbots first of all. And roughly speaking, like almost 35 or 40% of all the contacts we get come through digital channels. So people use the app, that's one category, but people that, instead of calling, about 35% of the folks actually go and chat with us versus call. And we're working on getting better. I mean, we've got some things in piloting right now, using generative AI to start to figure out how to do some of this complicated stuff. But the reality is, and those in the industry know, it's complicated stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, and one of the challenges we have is there's a lot of back and forth. It's this idea that, hey, on the one hand, I like to be rebooked, but sometimes it's, well, would you rather go tomorrow? Would you rather go tonight? Would you rather go to a different airport and drive? And so thinking through how that conversation plays out is really the challenge in this space, and we are working on it. But I think it will be a few minutes before we have that perfected.
Yeah. So Gen AI is kind of the cool kid, ChatGPTs
Yeah.
of the world. It is down right now for many of us. I don't know if any of you have checked, but ChatGPT, the irony, is down for many users right now. I'm curious what specific type of Gen AI you guys use, like what large language model, and what has been the kind of the killer ingredient for United's AI?
Well, so our strategy has been to try them all. I mean, not all of them, but not to. We didn't get married to one model.
Yeah.
We leveraged a platform that we can plug in different models, and we tried a bunch of different large language models. Obviously, ChatGPT being one of them, Anthropic, Llama. There's a bunch. My team's coming up with new ones all the time. The Hugging Face platform brings other models into it. So we're very agnostic on what model we use. I mean, it just depends on the use case that we're using. One of the use cases we're really excited about, if anyone everyone who's in this industry knows that if you go far enough into the technology, you find an old mainframe that runs some reservation system or some platform. And you also know that to read that language, like just not even the language it's written in, like the codes associated with your reservation and the history of your reservation is like, you need a PhD just to do that. And so we asked ourselves, could generative AI learn that language? And guess what, it can. So we now have just deployed for our customer service agents first, like ours is shares, translate shares into English so that our agents can quickly look, because we have a lot of new agents that didn't sort of grow up in that world. And those are the kind of things we're really excited about, where it's just gonna make our ability to provide good, quick answers to our customers and customer service so much faster.
So we all heard Rafat at the start of today talk about how there is no good AI without good data. And good data hygiene is very important. I'm wondering if you can talk about any battle scars or times that you have been in a situation where maybe the data wasn't good, or there wasn't good data hygiene behind what was being used, and it caused issues or problems, and how you overcame it.
Yeah, I would say we're very lucky, and I think about 8 or 10 years ago, before generative AI, I think we all, at least at United, saw this idea that we're going to need to have great data in one location that is clean. And so frankly, we have been investing for many years on that, and we call it the United Data Hub, and we have got so much great data, operational data, customer data, financial data, and frankly, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I think walking into generative AI, we have been able to, feel like we're born on third base a little bit in terms of having this data ready to go. I certainly talk to peers and I talk to other people in the industry, and that is the first question they say is, well, where do you get the data? I unfortunately, I don't have any great battle scars because we've been at it for a little while,
Yeah.
and it's really paid dividends.
Another question from the audience, and this is so applicable even to a smaller company like Skift. How, in such a big company like United, do you keep an overview about all the different use cases that AI has? Like, how do you organize your data and your data sets and everything involved in AI in such a massive company like United?
Right. Well, good news is we have the data structure. I think the challenge for us has been, and this is where this responsible AI organizations come into play, is we're trying to take all of the use cases, I say all, as many as we can that are going to sort of touch customers or operations, and make sure that we're getting them through a process that enables us to look at, is it secure? Is the data right? Do we have the right controls in place? Is it the right tone? Is the language that we're using correct? So that has been helpful for us. It is one of those go a little slower to go a lot faster kind of processes, and it took a little bit of time for us to get it going, but it's been invaluable because it's we were having situations where like people from our pilot training area had been playing around with ChatGPT and doing some stuff, and we were able to get them into the fold so that we could make sure that the things that they were doing met all the criteria that we're talking about. So that's been helpful for us, but it certainly is a challenge.
Yeah. So Jason, that's it for today. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.